Mhm.
Hello.
Hello, Commissioner. How are you?
I'm good. Tom Schneider, are you there? Schneider.
I am here, Commissioner Altman.
No, I'm looking for Tom.
I'm sorry?
I'm looking for Tom.
Tom.
All right. He'll find me, or I'll find him.
Chair James, are you on? Lauren, is that our mascot for the evening?
A grumpy cat? I hope not.
Behind you on a screen?
All right. Good evening, everyone. I guess we have everyone. I would like to welcome you all to the Community Redevelopment Agency virtual regular meeting. Today is Tuesday, April 13th, and it is 5:30 p.m. Call the roll, please.
Chair James,
Here.
Vice Chair Salvino,
Here.
Board Member Davis,
Here.
Board Member Llewellyn,
Here.
Board Member Odman,
Yes, here.
CRA Director Chen,
Here.
City Attorney Ansbro.
Here.
Awesome. We will do citizens' comments. I saw one citizen comment that was submitted, and that was by Pastor Paul Wiggins, Reverend Paul Wiggins. I apologize. Are you turning your camera on? There we go. Good evening.
Good evening. I was trying not to scare everybody, but you made me do it anyway. Paul Wiggins, 321 Southeast 3rd Street, Dania Beach. Board Chair James, Vice Chair Savino, members of the board, staff, and all who are part of the meeting tonight. Thank you for this opportunity to say a few words. I'm actually following up tonight verbally on a written document that I sent out on March 28th regarding some concerns that I just want to reiterate them here with hopes that they will get some traction and we can move, in an expeditious manner to address some of the concerns. I expressed concern in that letter on a couple of things. One, I've seen in my 4.5 years in Dania Beach pastoring a significant amount of change, new development, growth in and throughout Dania Beach, but I have seen minimal growth in the northwest section of the CRA district in the city, and that causes me and others great concern. I also, raised the issue of the current configuration of the board, and in my humble opinion, others might see it different. That the board of the CRA is really the board is of the city commission. There's no separation of the two, and I've seen lack of community involvement, particularly in the northwest section, interacting in a tangible way with members of the board. So therefore, the input from that section of the community, in my opinion, is not resonating and breaking through as it relates to development and other things happening in a tangible way in the northwest section of the CRA district. And I'm raising these issues again. And finally, there are a handful of property owners in the area that I have expressed concern, particularly about building or establishing a business district in the northwest section of the CRA, that the owners of those properties are in concurrence with that thought and are wanting to sit down with the board of the CRA to talk about the potential for developing that, not with an outside developer, but the many of the property owners have development entities of their own, and they would like to do something in as much as they do not want the next few years to pass by in the legacy of what was in that community at one time be lost. So I'm hoping that the words do not fall on deaf ears, and that in a relatively short span of time, there can be a gathering at a table to talk about how do we rectify what in my eyes and in the eyes of others has been absence of activity, meaningful activity in the northwest section of the CRA district. So again, thank you for this opportunity to voice my concerns, and I look forward to more in-depth conversation in terms of how do we move forward with doing something meaningful in that community.
Thank you, Reverend Wiggins. Okay, I'll hold my comments to the end. Board Member Ottman.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I wasn't gonna have the conversation now, but Reverend Wiggins, you and I talked briefly last week, and I shared with you that in terms of your letter, I had agreed with some points, and so I was gonna bring it up during board member comments. So I was gonna ask you to stay for the entirety of the meeting, and we'll hopefully have a little bit of a discussion about some of those things you brought up then. That's all. Go ahead, Chair.
Anyone else? All right. Board Member Davis.
I just want to say briefly, thank you, Reverend Wiggins. You and I also had a conversation, and I am in support of a lot of things that you are advocating for. And so I look forward to having a future conversation where we can have a more in-depth discussion about it. So just wanted to let you know that.
Board Member Llewellyn.
Hi, thank you, Chair. I would just say thank you, Reverend Wiggins. We appreciate your communications, as you have in the past as well. I know that there are a number of things that are coming up as far as working with the northwest section of town, and that there are a lot of programs, and there's quite a few things that are going to be up and coming. So I think you're probably going to be hearing about more of that in the near future, if you haven't already. So just stay tuned. I think you're going to hear some positive things that you'd like to hear.
Okay. I was just going to add, again, thank you. I always thank the public for being a part of the discussions, because that's what makes us who we are and pulls our minds into getting us to think about certain things that we may not have thought about. Me, for one, I think that we could benefit from a workshop. I know you guys, we say workshop, but I don't know, we haven't had a CRA workshop other than maybe the one with tying it into the vision and all of those things. But I think a workshop would be vital with bringing in some of those key stakeholders that you are speaking of, Reverend Wiggins, to make sure that we are doing all we can to support the vision of the communities, and seeing how we could better assist with the vision and seeing how we could collaborate. So I know that many of us know a lot of those families, with the Collins family and the Jones family, and a lot of those families that have a lot of the land that could be a game changer for us. I know with the city, we kind of talked about doing partnerships with parks or culture centers and things of that nature, but I want to make sure that we are advocating exactly what the community wants. So on the next agenda, I probably put up maybe some workshop dates, and let's put together a workshop or small charrette or something like that, so we can kind of get a vision in some type of direction that I have teeth in that, Mr. Chen, I have some direction of where we want to go and what we want to see and how we really could build that, because way back in the day, that used to be a business district. And a lot of those properties are still zoned to allow commercial businesses there. And so I think that with everything that is being developed around, and with Dania Point, and with the casino and the beach and all the hotels and the rental units that we are having up there, we're seeing more and more people go down that Northwest First Street. A lot of people that I've never seen before, a lot of tourists. I mean, I like it. Sorry. I like it, and I just think that it would greatly benefit us to really have that conversation and to be the best that we can be collectively. So thank you. And Mr. Chen, you wanted to add up?
Yes, I also find it very nice, Reverend Wiggins, that you made your comments, and I'm also very interested in what you have to say. This also points to the fact that our CRA plan has not been updated for quite some time. And we've been holding up on this pending the completion of the strategic plan for the city. But we should be able to get into the CRA plan update yet at the later part of the summer. And that will give us a chance to really focus on, I guess, the most current views on what hasn't been done, what needs to be done, and develop actual strategies on how we go about accomplishing something in that area. So that would be something that we would look forward to as well.
All right, and with that, do we have anyone else that wishes to speak from the public? If you would kindly raise your hand, use the raise your hand tool to raise your hand, and you will be recognized.
Madam Chair.
Your hand back up, Reverend Wiggins.
Yeah, again, I do appreciate those comments from everyone, and Mr. Chin, I appreciate your comments. But I hear you. The summer may not seem that far away for many, but for those who have been waiting for a long time, I would hope that if nothing but an informal meeting be held with some of the stakeholders a lot sooner than the summer, so that you and I'm a voice, a mouthpiece tonight, but I would really love to have that conversation to be had with some of the property owners in the area and the significant property owners in the area who are expressing this desire to do something.
Okay. I mean, I think that we could probably pull together a workshop within the next month. It doesn't have to be summer, but we'll look at our schedules. We'll come back to it, and maybe at the end of this meeting, maybe pull out some dates that we're all available next month or so, and we can get together and make that happen if it's the will of the board. All right, Mr. Chin, administrative reports.
Thank you. Chair James, Vice Chair Salvino, and board members. I'd like to report that we actually met the state statutes and published our CRA annual report on time. It was distributed according to statutes. Each of you were given a preview copy electronically and followed up with a print copy in your boxes. We have actually did a little bit of format change, trying to make it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more readable, and a little bit more illustrative of accomplishments that happened during the year 2020. Would be interested in any comments, whether at this time or offline, about your thoughts on our design, so that as we evolve through time, we can make this report something that you want to, in the way that you want to see it as well. Recently, I've had a number of conversations with a group that calls themselves Snowbirds Entertainment. Snowbirds Entertainment is based as a TV production, and the TV show is called Show Tom, one word, and it's a reflection of the live star of the broadcast. Basically, it is a broadcast that is centered around a sports theme, and specifically hockey. It is a show that is targeted toward resident Canadians and Canadian visitors in South Florida, particularly in Dania Beach and the greater Fort Lauderdale area. And basically, it is a pre-show and a post-game show that has interviews with stars of the hockey game, as well as entertainers and entertainment venues that goes with it. The star of the show is a man by the name of Tom LaPointe. And Tom is a television personality for many years on Canadian TV, again, as being a sports broadcaster. And he's actually looking, and there's been some consideration that perhaps the Showtime broadcast can be based out of Dania Beach. So that would put us certainly in the front of the South Florida visitors, but also this show would be live streamed back in Montreal, basically around the theme. We're having a great time in Dania Beach. Make sure to come and visit. I was going to try to introduce you to the producers behind this. One is Denise Dumont, and the other is Tom LaPointe. I think I see Denise. Are you with us tonight?
I see a DD iPad. I'm gonna unmute. Ask, is that Denise?
Hello.
Okay.
Yes,
Hello.
it is Denise.
Okay, hold on.
Hi.
Hi. And who else did you say, Mr. Chen?
Tom LaPointe is actually the TV personality that's behind this conversation. I don't see him on.
No, he's trying to, it's been amazing. We had some trouble to access this particular application. I just got in it's probably the third time I downloaded it, so that's okay. I'm good to go. And Tom is unable to access, so maybe I can help you.
Okay. Well, if I may then to facilitate the introduction of Ms. Dumont. Ms. Dumont is actually the general manager and editor-in-chief of a French-based newspaper, and I'm sorry, I don't speak French. I'll give it a try.
It's okay.
Le Soleil de la Floride. And this is actually a newspaper that was published in Dania Beach before the pandemic. And Denise and her organization is part of also the backing and participation with Tom LaPointe in this concept of Showtime. So with that, if I may turn it over to you, Denise.
Yes, certainly. So yes, I'm proud and happy to be kind of the general manager of this newspaper, and we cater to all the French Canadians, not only the snowbirds, but the visitors, the residents. We reach a lot of people, and the snowbirds want to be and visitors want to be. So we publish since 38 years. And last year I met Tom LaPointe, which is he is a very well-known sportscaster, and he developed different series and TV series and different things. And Tom has started the Showtime here in South Florida. And what it is exactly is that it's the pre-games for the Montreal Canadian hockey games. And it is at 5:30 till 7 o'clock every time there's a Montreal Canadian game. And the goal is to do this live when we will be able to be somewhere and introduce, sell the city and sell the area where the Showtime has access to. So not only he does invite very big sports personalities, we have music, we have entertainment, and we have news. Of course, Le Soleil de la Floride has a segment where we talk about what's happening in South Florida. So this year, of course, we have a lot of Showtime success because the hockey games are almost every other day, But once the regular calendar for 2022 comes out, hopefully it's going to be a couple games a week. So where we would love to have the showtime and make and discover, have people discover the city of Dania Beach. Currently, it is broadcasted on Facebook Live, but we're talking, we are in, how can I say that? We're talking with a web TV that is currently under construction here in South Florida. And they're going to have at least 1 million reach in the French regions of Canada, which is the regions that we touch. Also, Showtime will have the English version. I don't know, is there anybody who are hockey fans or so? Because we have with us also Ron Duguay, which is a hockey player in he was for the New York Rangers for many years, and he's been the hockey sportscasters for the I think it's, and I don't want to say the channel because I'm not sure of it, but Hockey Night in Canada, that's what it was for many years, and he's moving down to South Florida, so we're gonna have him with us at Showtime. Is there anything I may add?
I have questions. I'm not sure if anyone else has questions. At what cost is this to the city?
Well, of course, we're trying to find some advertisers and so on. The cost for the city would be to find a place for us to have this event.
So
and maybe a stage.
Want the city to find a location for you to have a TV show?
To sell the city.
To sell the city, okay.
And South Florida, because I don't know if Dania Beach is trying to reach more visitors to lure them into the city. With the web TV, we're going to be able to, broadcast and make people discover the city of Dania Beach, or even, whichever city is willing to feature Showtime from. So that's basically how we would bring back to the city in order to have a place to broadcast from. Okay. We have, and the web TV, pardon me.
So, what is the return on any investment for the CRA?
Well, if I may answer that for you. First of all, this is kind of an early conversation on this pathway. We have really been talking about what the concept would be that they would present in the context of Dania Beach as a home base and so forth. So far, most of our conversation has been around maybe us assisting them to find an existing home base location. And again, without any suggestion of their approval or acceptance, but perhaps we talked about perhaps this would be something as a regular venue in the Dania Beach Casino and that type of thing. So that may be the home base type of arrangement that would be assisted through introductions and encouragement from the city. So we have not
that fund the location, or you're just helping to assist to find the location?
Well, at this time, the conversation has been that we would assist them to find a location, but we also need more description and a more tangible definition of what the show would be, how often it would be broadcast, and really to understand what it would bring to the city. It sounds like an interesting thing because there would be a lot of outreach to a very prime audience that is important to us. But we have not gotten to the point where there's any detailed discussion about support or anything else, other than I have made it clear that the city is really not in a position to be a sponsor of a TV show.
Correct.
Correct. And is this TV show in English or is it in French?
It is in French, but we are also adding the English version of it next year. This year, it's been going on with the schedule for the NHL as it is. And next year, I think the calendar is 87 games. So means that the Montreal Canadiens will play 87 times and they would have 87 TV shows.
Okay.
And if I may add a little bit, so what we have done this year is that at 5:30 the show starts. So the pregame show does last 90 minutes, and then what we want to do, well, there's some TV, some personalities, analysts, singers, and interaction also with the crowd. And if that can be what we envision, is that it's going to be live somewhere where the people can go and eat from the restaurants and drink from the bars and be close to that event so they can see it. And when the hockey game starts, then people just, or they watch the game wherever they are, or they start shopping, they go for dinner, they go in the city to spend some money and discover. And then there's an after game of 30 minutes about. So after game, they do dissect if they won, why, and if they lost, why. And there's a lot of interaction. We can, it's Showtime on Facebook Live. You can find it. There is it's right there on Facebook. We started December 13th when the season started. And eventually, of course, this is a test this year because nothing is the same. And if we sit and do nothing, we know that nothing's going to happen. We want to create, and that's what we're doing this year, creating and how can I say that? Oomph, so people know that we are there. Tom is very well known. For people who know the hockey game and the big people there, Tom has been invited to Wayne Gretzky's wedding in LA, and he went. So this is where he's close to the Dion, Celine Dion, Claudette Dion, Celine's sister, is one of my friends, so she's been on the show. So we bring all those people and their crowd with it as well.
Again, we've had several conversations, but it's been very early stage conversations. The idea is to get more definition about what the show would be, what it could mean to Dania Beach, and then getting to the point of what actually do they need in terms of the environment to do a broadcast from. And then could work with our community, our business community. And like I said, it seems like it would be an interesting exploration with the Dania Beach Casino, but again, that conversation needs to be initiated with them to see if that would be a place for it. But the idea is, as I really wanted to kind of introduce the concept to you, because it does seem like it's got very interesting prospects for us. The Canadian market is extremely important to the greater Dania Beach area. In fact, we are the #1 winter destination for Canadian tourists. Almost 50% of all our international tourism is Canadian based, which is more than the next 5 countries of origin combined. So the Canadian market is very important. If we can find ways to highlight and continue to elevate the profile of Dania Beach as the center of interest and activities to Canadian tourists, it seems like it would be a benefit. We just need to quantify what all the pieces are.
And if I may add, Tom is also a journalist, so he does write the sports column in the Soleil de la Floride, and we do advertise the show, and we do, from social medias and so on. So there's quite a bit of exposure, and that's going to be we're putting everything in place currently. And with Le Soleil de la Floride, we know that there are events that are really born with Le Soleil de la Floride. And, if it is the right place, the right everything, then we might be able to just join all those activities together. So, yes, it's early in the stage. We're trying to see if it fits, within your city. We personally love Dania Beach. As Michael said, we had our office there before the pandemic. Now we're working from home, like many of us, many of you. But hopefully it's going to return, and that's a project that could be of interest to you, because one thing I'm sure of is that there's a lot of exposure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Denise.
Okay.
Our next subject, I've actually kind of retitled this part of our update. In the past, I've described this as the mission to market update. I think it's more appropriate to describe this as the Dania Beach Innovation Ecosystem Update. Mission to market is an important piece of this, but it is just one of many pieces that are working to develop a widespread and effective ecosystem to support entrepreneurial development. So with that, I've had, in fact, of all the resources that I've introduced you to over time, some of them under a specific memorandum of understanding where we're formally collaborating with each other. I've put these parties together, and we've been working toward perhaps the first start of what I'm describing as the Dania Beach Business Academy. It would be a workforce / business management training program. The first course that I'm considering here, I've kind of nicknamed as Passions to Paychecks. Its base is how to start a business. So after you've got a spark, you've got an idea, you've got a passion, and you want to figure out how to commercialize it, we teach people how to start a business. And this is a very, very important piece to entrepreneurs and new startup businesses. Some of the statistics around this is there's almost 550,000 new businesses founded in the United States every month. Almost 50% of all the country's workforce work in small businesses. The bad statistic is over 50% of those businesses fail in the first 5 years. And it's because they don't have the good, solid foundation to endure the stresses of new businesses, and they don't really know what to expect, and so they get caught off guard and perhaps short of cash or whatever it is. So training people how to properly start a business is an important way to make them successful. And our objective is that we certainly want to reach across the CRA, we want to reach across the city, but I also want to make the extension of this program somewhat regional. The idea is I want to develop the Dania Beach CRA and the city of Dania Beach to be recognized in our regional business community as a place of business resources and a business destination. The chances are pretty good as we get involved with people and engage with them, and we show the value of Dania Beach and how we take care of our businesses. The chances are very good that we will start attracting more and more startup new businesses into Dania Beach. With that, in your packages, I have put together a kind of a Cliff Notes version of what the first program in the Business Academy would be. The way we view it is that at this time it's considered to be an online program. It would run for 4 consecutive weeks, 3 hours for each week, basically the same day. So roughly at 3:30 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon on Thursday, we'll run it to 8 o'clock, and that would be a 4-week program in that way. Um, the first class is really to help people um, formalize their ambitions for starting a business, help them understand how to evaluate the potential for customers and identify ways to actually commercialize their ideas to where they can translate into a lifetime of income. I also see Mission to Market and FIU being part of that program with the idea of letting people know that we are affiliated with the Mission to Market program. And as they find ways to establish their new businesses, they may in fact be able to qualify for some of the benefits and technologies from the Department of Energy. It's kind of, let's call it a pep talk using Department of Energy technologies as an incentive. The next program is really the fundamentals of business, the different types of structures that you can start up a business. They need to understand the different types of insurances, which ones might apply to their specific types of businesses, how to get the employment identification numbers, how to register their business with the state, with the city, um, apply for licenses, and something as fundamental as opening a bank account. Um, the third one is actually to write a business plan, understand how they can expect their cash to flow. So together with the business plan, we would also teach them how to develop their financial plan so they can start putting together an understanding of what kind of cash they will need to have a reasonable buffer for the risk and the cost of opening their business. And the fourth class would be how to fund your new business. And that class would be conducted by the National Development Council, which I introduced you to a couple, I think last month. Basically, to introduce them to what is expected from a new business, what kind of paperwork, what kind of reports and so forth is needed for those businesses to have a chance to qualify for startup financing. Many of those programs are actually funded and administrated by NDC. So another part of this program is we're actually introducing new businesses directly to the resources that will be so important to them as they get started. So that's the concept of the first set of course. That's the first course of our Dania Beach Business Academy. There are other programs that are in the works that I will bring to you over time. And with that, if there's any questions or thoughts or comments.
I like the idea of making sure that our businesses are aware and prepared to what it really means to have a business, because a lot of people just they go to some biz and they have an LLC or a corporation and they really don't know what that entails with BTRs and making sure that the Department of Revenue, Department of Agriculture, and so many different aspects of having a business. And so I do think that this is a worthwhile program. And I think that it can go hand in hand with a lot of other things that are going on. And so regardless if you are doing some job training or I think that in this area we can kind of push for more entrepreneurs and start getting more. We used to have I don't know, we used to have something down in the atrium at City Hall with a small business something in the CRA, but I don't remember what it was called. And I know we have discontinued it, and a lot of our small businesses used to come there. But this will be pertinent, especially for those who are looking to start a business and to know the ropes. So I am in support of this.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Board Member Luella.
Hi, thank you. Michael, I also think it's a good idea. I think it's a good program. I like the idea of the regular classes. I am curious though about promotion. How are we promoting this to the public so they know to where to go and how to sign up and that sort of thing?
Thank you so much for that question. This has actually been part of our conversations about what the first class should be. Um, so there's any number of moving pieces with that. Part of it is the CRA has a small and modest database of business contacts and so forth that we would reach out to. Um, and by the way, this is also an important class to new business. Just because a business has already been started doesn't mean it was started correctly. So we can catch someone early in their game and help them get a solid foot for survival. We also, the Dr. Chris Ford has mentioned that this would be very valuable information to the graduates of his entrepreneurial development classes. They've had more intensive, basically college level training on how to commercialize their passions and their ideas. Now, frankly, many of them need to understand how to start a business to where they can start to develop the concept into the business. So we would be promoted through the Mission to Market and FIU programs for entrepreneurial development. NDC, the National Development Council, would also promote through their network. And one of the other memorandums of understandings that and people that I've introduced you to is the Aero Partners. The Aero Partners, I would convey the classes to the Aero Partners, and I would expect most, if not all of them, will promote our classes over their networks. So it is something that's going to take a while to build up. I don't want to create false expectations. In these early classes, the first few classes that we start, frankly, we may be lucky to get 10 or even 15 people to the table with this. But it's something that if we do it effectively, we build our outreach, we build our network, and we build a brand for Dania Beach and the Dania Beach CRA as being a business resource. And over time, it will take off. And I can give you example. This is somewhat similar to what I've done before. In fact, in my first go at this, we were lucky to get 5 or 6 people for each class. But as we closed out, by the time we were in our 4th year, I was averaging 175 people per class. So it takes time to build up the reputation and the brand for what you deliver.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anyone else? All right. Is that it with the with your report?
I need to bring up an update on the resident COVID assistance program. I have continued to work to try to figure out if there's any way to further tighten up this program that might make some of the concerns, at least address some of the concerns. I have worked at one change since our last discussion on this is that the Miami-Dade Affordable Housing Foundation has agreed that in terms of the utility side of this program, the funding that would be to utilities, that they would be willing to write checks directly to the utility. So at least that portion of the fund would have a direct connection to the payee. That helps some. It doesn't totally bridge the gap that we were talking about. So that's the update on that program.
Is Frank here? Frank, I wanted to ask you, I guess, a few questions about. Here you go. Yeah. So, did we find out any other information about how we will be able to tie in the monies that we have coming here? And I know that it's coming in half and half, and not all at once, to this program. Because what I would like to see done, if possible, if we could make this program then citywide by because of the amount of funds, then we could save money on that end. I know I had this conversation with the city manager and with Mike. So
thank you, and good evening, Chair James, and good evening to the other board members and the public. In terms of the future money that's coming to the city, the American Rescue Plan, is that what you're referring to?
yes.
Okay, so yeah, that money is one of the items that we can use it for is household assistance. So I believe that a rental assistance, utility assistance type program would fall under that criteria. It could be used for that. I also, and I don't know if you saw the email, there was an email that came through this afternoon from Broward County. They're kickstarting a brand new COVID rental assistance and utility assistance program that they're going to administer using $53 million of CARES Act money. And that program is going to be run by the county. It's going to be available to all county residents. It's going to be payable directly to landlords and to the utilities directly. And I would encourage that, sort of how we did the last, I think maybe 1 or 2 times that we looked at starting up an assistance program. And just before we did so, we found out that, oh, well, the county or there's other sources of funding available. So it might be a good idea to let that money go first before we decide to put in city money. And from what I understand, that $53 million it should go a long way. Spoke to someone at the county today, and the funding can be retroactively applied. So they look back at their last 12 months, which essentially is since the start of COVID, and they'll see what they're eligible for in terms of their household income and so on. Any funding that they have already received towards rental assistance from other programs can't duplicate this new money that's coming from the county. So it's not going to just be on top of money they've already received. It's going to work with other monies they've received and coordinate and provide whatever assistance that they would be entitled to. And like I said, that money would be payable directly to the city's utility if city residents apply for that funding, and we can provide the delinquent notices and the statements to them so that they can apply and have that money paid to the city. I think that'd be a phenomenal thing and would really help the city. And I would encourage that you let that program run itself first. We have until 2024 to spend the American Rescue Plan money, so we have a lot of time before we have to spend it, and we can wait and see what other sources exhaust themselves first before we decide to move forward with our own program, which kind of duplicates what the county is already going to do.
Okay. Next question would be, could we then have a separate program that would be funded by these funds that we are going to receive that would take care of the utilities issue that we are having for those who were current March 2020, 2020? And up until now? Do we have that available?
Well, again,
I mean, could we do something like that? Could we? I know that you were saying, and a lot of the comments that I heard was about utilities. And so could we have that to where the utilities could be taken care of out of the money from the rescue plan?
It could.
Okay. So that I'm in agreement. I don't want to spend the city's money and we're going to have monies coming in, but I do think we do need a plan regardless of what is going to happen when that expires. I don't want to sit around without a plan. So I would definitely like to still discuss what a plan would look like and what criteria would look like, and understanding that, of course, that, the county is going to have this program, because I shared the program. It's a great program, and anything that is going to help people, I think is beneficial. So I'll be working, I guess, with you all to bring something back, to bring a program back for the utilities to help with the issue that we are having. How much money are we behind in the utilities now? Do you know how much that were current March of 2020 up until now? Not the ones that were already delinquent.
Yeah, if you give me a moment, I have some numbers for you that, and just so you know, we were planning to put, this was a discussion item for the next commission agenda, but I'm glad we're talking about it tonight. The timing of it, especially with this new county program, it's good that we're discussing it. Let me just pull up this this document real quick.
Okay. Anyone have any other comments in the meantime while he's pulling up those documents? Board Member Llewellyn, is your hand up? Okay.
I just to add on to that while we're looking for the numbers, I actually, my understanding is this email that we all got this afternoon or this morning about the county program that's going to be done is that's money that would get paid directly to the utilities, directly to the landlords, directly to the mortgage holders, that sort of thing. And I'd like to see, what I think we should do with that is find a way, both through the CRA and through the city, but since we're in the CRA board meeting now, we'll talk about that, to make sure that we are educating the residents about how to do it. And I mean, really taking the time to make sure they know how to do it. And they maybe even have people to assist with making sure they know how to apply for it. So that this way we don't nobody misses the opportunity. Because I think that's part of what's happened in the past whenever there have been programs like this, is people either think it's too much work, or they don't know how to do it, or they start to do it and then it falls through the cracks, something falls through the cracks, or something gets rejected and they don't know what to do after that. And I think if we have some people available to help with that, you get more bang for your buck is really what it comes down to. And I'd like to see that happen before we end up spending any money for us.
Let me ask you a question, Board Member Llewellyn. Do you know how the window that is open? Because another issue that a lot of the residents had was that it was only open for 72 hours. It was a very small window to get a lot of the information in. And that of one of the times, I don't remember which time it was, but it was kind of like, okay, it's open, now it's closed. And a lot of the people don't have the education to understand how to do it. And it didn't have the time with working and everything else to be able to facilitate that. So do you know with this new program, how long that window is?
I don't know what the window is this time, but the interesting thing was last time that the county did something, they did close the window initially, but then they extended it. And then they extended it again, but they didn't promote it as much. So you didn't necessarily have people aware that they could still apply. But I think I'm sure, I mean, we all just got this information today. So I think that if we have time to take a look at it and have everybody, I think Frank is looking at this already. And just kind of get a sense of how long it's going to last, get all the criteria together. I think if we are helping our residents, that's the best way we can help them, is by making sure that they have the tools and the knowledge to access these funds, because then it's coming from the county as opposed to coming directly from the city, and then we have money to do other things with. So that's all.
Right.
Okay. Frank,
yeah. And if I could actually, I think that the more information we get out there about this program from the county, even if there's people who don't necessarily need the rental assistance, if they can get the utility assistance, whatever money can be used to offset the balances that are owed in our utility from the other money, I mean, that frees up more of the other rescue plan money that we're getting to do other things. Like if we decide to do another program, it'll be available for more assistance if that's the direction you want to go. So I would encourage that we get this out there to people to let them know that this is something they can take advantage of. I'm going to show you, let's see. Can you all see that chart? Okay.
Yes.
So if you look, it starts in October of 2017, and the blue bars are basically our monthly delinquency amount, and the red line is the percentage of our billing amounts that's delinquent. And as you can see, it's very stable. We averaged between 9 and 10% delinquency rate, and that's on a monthly basis per the actual amounts that are billed. When you look at April 2020 is where it starts to go up, and that's where COVID comes into play. And you can see that every month that's gone by, our delinquency percentage has continued to increase, and now we're actually at around over 26%, whereas we were only at 10% delinquent before COVID. So, I mean, there's obviously a clear connection here between when we stopped doing shutoffs, which we all agree that was necessary at the time, along with virtually every other public utility or every other water utility. But unless we do something to let people know that, hey, you're going to have to pay this bill back at some point. Can we put you on a payment plan? Oh, there's utility assistance money out there that you should apply for. People need to understand that they're going to have to pay back that bill some way or another, whether it's with their own money or some type of assistance, because we can't just zero out utility counts. The consumption took place, they use the water, and they have to pay the bill. So I think that at this point, we would recommend that we actually start sending out delinquent notices. We've talked to other cities. We've surveyed every city in Broward County, all the utilities, and a couple in Palm Beach. The vast majority are not going to be lifting their moratorium on shutoffs, but a few of them are soon, and several others are starting to send out delinquent notices just to get people's attention and make them aware in case they're not. So I think it's a great opportunity that this money is coming into play, that we can push our residents to apply for it and take advantage of the opportunity. And we're available to do that. We can provide them whatever documentation they need to apply for the funding. I was told today that the application window is going to open soon, within a week. And I asked exactly when is it going to close, and they said until all the money's gone. So they said the amount is 53 million, and it's open to everybody, and they want to see that money get out as soon as possible. So the purpose of that email and this public information is to tell people to, here's the information you're going to need. We're going to need statement from your landlord. We're going to need delinquent utility bills. Start gathering all this stuff now. So as soon as that window opens, you can put an application in, because they said it's a little complex, and for some people it's hard to gather everything. So start getting your stuff together now. They're just putting everybody on notice, and then they can start applying. So it's first come, first served, and it's countywide.
I have a question, Frank. With the delinquent notices that you will send out, is it a possibility that we can also at the bottom of that put the information for how to apply for the assistance on there as well? So that we can say, okay, you are delinquent, but the county has XYZ, and this is how you could apply for it.
Yeah, I believe we can do that, and but knowing that if the application, and we can do that for sure. I don't know how long the application process for this program is going to be open. They said it's going to be open until the money's gone, but that could be 2-3 weeks. But by the time those notices get into everybody's hands, they may have missed their opportunity. So what I would also like to do is get information out through either social media, through our city website, and maybe even the alerts on people's cell phone, to let them know that this program exists, and that any information they need about their utility balance can be obtained from our utilities department. They can provide them whatever documentation necessary so they can apply for this program. So, because we want people to be able to apply when the window opens. That's the key, so they can get in line.
Okay.
Can I just make a suggestion on that too? Is there a way that we could either do a mailer or maybe put something in the Dania Beach Press or something for people that don't necessarily have a computer or don't look at the computer? Just a thought. Because in this way, I mean, because I know the next press comes out with the first week in May, so it would, it's coming up. There might be a way to get it out to people that don't necessarily have a computer or have email or access to social media or whatever.
If I may, certainly the CRA, we will put things out on our social media network. But I think it may be very timely that Reverend Wiggins joined us this evening, and I see he's still on. Frankly, I can't think of any more effective way to reach in our neighborhoods than through our neighborhood leadership, which would be people such as Reverend Wiggins and that council administers. I think that's a valuable resource that would be beneficial to their constituents.
Agreed.
Or is the county doing what is the county doing other than, can we find out what the county is doing to promote it? Maybe we can have a snipe sign or something like that at our parks, or just some signage. I know that where people frequent a lot. I'm not sure again on how much we want to put into it or not.
There is that, and I think also I have to see the way the county's promoting it, but I've never seen, let's say, a governmental entity that didn't figure out how to make things overly complicated. So one of the things about our outreach is to try to find ways to summarize what people will need to get into this, so that it is more understandable and they can, I guess, better prepare to be qualified.
It would. I'm sorry. It would also be good to have like a phone number or something where people can call and get some assistance. I think just to help with the actual process. I just think it would be helpful if we could do something like that. I don't know if that's something that's feasible, if we have anybody that would be available to take the calls or emails or whatever, but I just think it would be helpful because I mean, you want to see people get the help that they need, and you want to make sure that as many people as possible who can access this are able to access it.
I completely agree. Um, I guess it would be it would show that we were very effective if we got overrun with phone calls for help.
All right. So what else are you looking for from us, Mr. Shin? I know this is kind of went
No, I
everywhere.
just wondered if there was, I mean, I needed to bring you the update. There were outstanding unresolved conversations, so I needed to update you on that. If you've got any further direction, I think what I'm hearing, it's not exactly formalized, but basically, we're not going to continue to pursue the resident COVID assistant program in lieu of the county program. Is there any further direction on that or any further clarification that you need?
Maybe if we could just hold it off and see what's happening and developing with what's going on. But like I said, if we still need to know what we want to do in regards to if those monies go really fast, we need to be ready to continue the conversation for where it currently is, in my opinion. Vice Chair. You're muted. Can you unmute yourself? Let's see. Oh, okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. I just, listening to the conversation, everything seems to be going all right. I was thinking, ahead of this, that when the monies become available from the county, I was thinking that the possibility, we had some conversation before about which and how to qualify for these funds. And then some good points came up tonight about making sure that the time frame of, applying and doing all these certain things. I thought maybe, if it's up to you guys, but I was thinking maybe we should get some stakeholders, each of us could appoint a stakeholder to possibly, create some of the guidelines and possibly even assist people that need help to, formalize those applications. And maybe then when we start doing our own division of how the funds go out, whether we, because there's going to be more than just the utilities, that we would have some kind of guidelines in place before all this happens. Hello? Do I make sense of what I'm saying, or I can try to define it a little?
Make sure that we have someone that can help, just in case we start doing it ourselves. We'll know what we're doing.
Well, we really are the ones that end up ultimately making the last decision as a board. But I'm thinking that if we are prepared ahead of time with some other people putting input into the program to try to help define where the funds are going to go when the county comes up with these funds, besides applying it towards the utility bills, I was thinking that we would be able to have a committee of almost like a planning and zoning board, the CRA, to have some advisories to people and give us ideas on how to disperse the funds when we get when the money start coming in. Because I think we had conversation about how the application would be, how we would decide where the money would go, and when people are already getting some assistance, some people aren't, and so on. I'm just suggesting that maybe we should be a step ahead of that. Maybe get some people, some stakeholders of the city, and then help that have time, and maybe some business people that can, give us some ideas so that we can bring it to Michael, and Michael can maybe, scan through it and then bring it back to us. I'm just trying to think ahead a little bit before we end up saying, okay, we have these funds, and then what are we going to do? How are we going to disperse?
Anyone have any thoughts on that? Board Member Llewellyn?
So I'm just see if I'm understanding. So you're talking about including like residents as well as like businesses that are within the CRA and having individuals from different aspects.
Well, if I'm, I lost my computer for a little bit, but rebooted. But I'm hoping that we're on the track about the money that we're getting from the government, $13 million. Is that correct? Okay, so with that money that we're getting countywide, Michael just said that we were probably tabling the $250,000 that we're using assistance until we get the money. I know that the chair had offered, to try to use some of that to try to help out certain things. In the meantime, I don't know if that was to be reimbursed, but I'm talking about what we were talking about the last time about how we were going to fund it. Everybody was in a different opinion on how this money was going to get dispersed. I'm thinking that if we put together, maybe each of us pick a person, a business person, or someone that has the ability to come up with some brainstorming ideas, that we would be able to be prepared at the time that we would be able to, as the board, finalize the disbursements of funds when they get there, when we get this money and the people apply through the county. We don't have any say so on who gets the money. They have to apply, and then the county decides and all that. I thought that was going to the city, and we decided.
Different things, I think. We're talking about different things.
What
Yeah.
the county
All right, well, that's what I said. I might be off here a little bit because my computer went off, and I heard you guys talking about the funding and stuff, and I just rebooted at the same time. I apologize, Jared. I thought I was on the same track. I just
No,
got back.
no, you're fine. What the county is doing is separate from what the city is going to be receiving.
Right. Okay. Well, I thought that's what we were on because my computer went out, it rebooted, and I got back and I heard this, and I thought we were on the $13 million that we're getting for the city from the government.
Okay. No, the only thing
Well, anyhow, now you know my idea on the other thing, so we'll move on.
Okay.
Hey, listen, I can't help the computer reboot in the middle of the conversation. Okay, I'm sorry.
Chair, may I make a suggestion?
Okay.
You had said before about doing a workshop sometime in the next 30 days or so. Perhaps this is something we can discuss then.
We can have a two-tier workshop. We can discuss the other issue first, and then we can discuss this next. I'll be okay with doing that. Okay. All right, Mr. Chin.
Okay. Just real quickly, I want to finish up here because we've had a long report tonight. Just wanted to let you know that there was a mention about the City Hall banners in our last meeting. We went ahead and moved on that without additional instruction, and we have replaced all of the banners around the City Hall circle and the adjacent properties. We did a blend between Dania Beach and the Dania Beach CRA so that everybody's getting some branding recognition out of it. And with that, that is my update.
All right, thank you. Next, we have consent agenda. Do we have any pulls?
I'd like to pull 5.4.
5.4. Any more pulls? Do we have a motion and a second?
Move the items other than 5.4.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, Tom?
A resolution of the Board of Directors of the Community Redevelopment Agency, the CRA of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, establishing that an eligible applicant, Ms. Tremena Blake, may be awarded a participant commitment for benefits in the amount of $20,000 as a forgivable loan for down payment closing cost assistance for the purchase of property located at 40 Northwest 14th Avenue, Dania Beach, as evidenced by a promissory note and secured by a second mortgage pursuant to resolution number 2019 CRA 002. Under the First Time Home Buyers Program of the At Home Dania Beach Program, providing for conflicts for the providing for an effective date.
I pulled this only because I just wanted some clarification. This is this the person who replaced the person who didn't qualify?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and I just want to make sure the original person who was supposed to have this particular grant, they never got the 20,000, correct?
No, they did not.
Okay, they never qualified, so it didn't get to that point.
Could not qualify for the loan, right?
Okay, so with that, I will congratulate Ms. Tremena Blake on her new home. So go ahead and vote on it. I'll move the item.
Second. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Great. We don't have any proposals or bids. No discussion. We'll go to board member comments. I can't remember what order it goes in. I think it's board member Davis.
No comment.
Board Member Llewellyn?
I'm going to reserve my comments for the commission meeting. Just it's all related to both CRA and commission. So, thanks.
All right, Board Member Oddman.
Thank you very much. Do we want to throw out dates for that workshop today? I just don't want that to get lost in the weeds.
I would like to.
Okay. Let's see if it's something that we could.
Can we do May, not April?
Yeah, let's see if we can quickly come upon a date. If it becomes too difficult, we'll have to email.
How long are we going to reserve, and what time of day are we looking at?
So we're gonna look at the weekday first, if that's okay. Like early afternoon? Or did you want to do evening?
I'd rather do late afternoon into evening if possible, for me, but I don't know if anybody else.
I see the vice chair.
How about like May 4th at 4:30 to 6:30?
I can't do May 4th, but I can do that time.
About May 5th.
Well, if it's going to be two separate items, I would suggest more than 2 hours. Only because you have to.
We can go. Yeah, if we get done sooner, we get done sooner. That's all.
Excuse me?
So if we get done sooner, we get done sooner. That's all.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
3 hours out, then it's fine.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're not rushing the second portion of it with the utility assistance part that was brought into it. Or
May 5th is not good for me.
Hmm?
May 5th is not good for me.
May 5th isn't.
May 6th?
My birthday, forget about it.
Forget about it. All right.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, May 6th.
What
So
about
wait.
We could have a party and have a workshop at the same time.
May 12th?
I can do that.
Wednesdays for me are not going to be good for a while.
All right, then Thursday?
I can do the 13th.
I can do the 13th too.
Yep.
Everyone shook their head yes for the 13th. At what time?
4:30. Is that all right?
4:30 to 7:30.
Is that all right?
Yeah, and if we get finished early, we get finished early.
Can we, so we're gonna try and cap that though at 7:30? Like, can we try not, do we think we're gonna go longer than that?
I don't know. If so, I think that we could maybe just use our discretion if it runs over 5 minutes, but I'm not sure what all to come about of the workshop. Know that we will have to get some of the stakeholders in and get together with Mr. Chen and the stakeholders and to come up with an agenda and kind of stick to the topics. And, you know, it's just a start of a conversation. If we have to have an additional conversation, I'm sure that that's fine, but just to see what's out there and what we could or couldn't do and start to get some deliverables and ideas, I think it's for 3 hours.
So if that's good with everyone, then, Michael, if we could put that in the books and make sure it's noticed.
Yeah, and on our calendars, please.
I will do that. I'll work through the clerk's office to set this up as a public noticed meeting. I will also reach out to Reverend Wiggins to make sure that I can include his thoughts and so forth as part of our agenda discussion as well.
Where would this is going to be May, so I'm assuming we will be back in person by then. Would this take place in the chambers? I think that would be most appropriate, not knowing how many people will be in attendance, so we can be properly spaced out.
This is back in chambers.
Well, We haven't really discussed that yet. I was gonna ask about that at the commission meeting. And what we're gonna do. I mean, we're at 6:44 right now, so I don't know if we want to get into that topic right now, but.
I mean, we can just say chambers and then whatever, if we decide something different, you decide something different, but we have to make some type of a decision on it.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that, and I'll just talk to Mike, because I probably cannot attend in person. So, and I didn't think of that. So we'll work something out, or I don't know, put me on.
Even if we go back to the chambers, you don't have. I believe that as long as we have a quorum, you can attend virtually.
Okay. Yeah, I'll work it out with him. I don't want to take up anyone's time.
Okay.
And then, so my other thing real quick, and I was going to ask for an update about this, but since we only have 15 minutes, and I'm sure everyone wants a bathroom break and a water break. Mike, at the next meeting, can you please make sure you have a presentation for us about Dania After Dark, what our options are for coming back, dates for coming back, costs for coming back, and I guess a sub thing under options for coming back, what is it going to look like? What are our different options for how we can do it to bring it back if the board chooses to do so? Could you bring that back to us in the next meeting?
I will.
All right, I appreciate you. That's all I have.
Thank you. No, all I was going to say was obviously that as well. I just had a conversation with Mr. Chen today about Dating After Dark. We're having a lot of wants of having that back, and I think that was an amazing function to have, and people look forward to it. And it seems to be happening every other part of the city, especially Dania Point is having their night markets, and it's very successful. So I think that we can continue to promote our CRA in our city and highlight the great vendors that we have and some fun. So yes, please let us know. Obviously, we still have to be safe and do it in a responsible manner. But those are my comments. Vice Chair, did you have anything you wanted to say? I'm sorry, I skipped right over.
Oh, that's all right. I'm always left out. No, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you. You guys did a good job.
All right. And with that, we'll see you in about 13 minutes. Meeting adjourned.